Six Flags over Texas. The original Six Flags park has a collection of coasters that seems to match how it looks. A bit outdated, but with nice charm. And a weird mix that may or may not create the good experience I'm looking for. But with 7 different coasters for guests 42 inches and lower, this may be one of the best roller coaster parks in the United States when it comes to quantity of coasters guests 42 inches tall can ride. But is this coaster lineup enjoyable? And which coasters are the best? Find out as I rank the top roller coasters at Six Flags over Texas. Of note, Wile Coyote's Canyon Blaster has changed its policy to only allow adults on with a kid, even though I tried to convince them that my college-age brother was my little brother. You need a kid who meets the height maximum. Number 13. La Vibora. This coaster is unique and thus a true treat. I always run to this ride to rope drop it on my visits, and have no regrets doing so. But as a coaster, it seems to lack most strong forces that I'm hoping for, as the turns offer little laterals since you swing up them, and the drops are relatively tame as well. There's probably a fair amount of awesomeness that could come from an extreme bobsled style coaster, but this remains a one-of-a-kind coaster to ride for the uniqueness. Number 12. Batman the Ride. I'm just not a fan of these clones, though this one did grow on me during my visits. The Batman theming is great and really elevates the feel of this ride. I greatly enjoy being able to watch the ride from the exit ramp as well. The view of the interstate and Mr. Freeze offer some uniqueness for this clone coaster, and the first half seemed really smooth compared to other versions that I've been on. The corkscrews and inline twists, though, just beat me up too much to make this ride enjoyable for me. Number 11. Mini Mine Train. Like La Vibora, this is a coaster that has a very special place in my heart, and being the last Aero Mini Mine Train that adults can ride free of restrictions, this is a coaster to truly enjoy for its place in roller coaster history. The overall ride is relatively simple though. If Mr. Freeze goes while you're on it, you can get some great views of that coaster. The final bunny hill also offered me a nice pop on my most recent rides. I do wish there was more mine train theming around this coaster, but the lack of theming is present in most every coaster at Six Flags over Texas. Number 10. Pandemonium. I rank this version much lower than Fiesta Texas's, largely because the few rides I got on it were subpar, and to help highlight the variability of these clones in my overall rankings. Since this is a free spinning coaster, there's going to be some great, some average, and some not so great coaster rides on this coaster. My most recent ride on this coaster though, where I waited an hour and a half to ride it, was absolutely excellent. So this coaster could easily be as high as around the number 6 spot. Number 9. Joker. The view of the street right next to this coaster adds a bit to the experience, but overall, this is simply an S&S free spin. The amount of flips on this one might be a bit less than other versions, though I haven't ridden it enough times to really tell how it rides compared to other S&S free spins. The theming, though, did elevate this ride over Six Flags Fiesta Texas's Batman the Ride. Number 8. Runaway Mountain. Despite being a family indoor coaster, this one does have a 48-inch height requirement. Inside the mountain, the coaster goes through a variety of drops and helixes, with a sneaky 4th drop that will really catch you off guard. Overall, this is an average coaster, but that fourth drop elevated it in my rankings. Number 7, Mr. Freeze. I never got to ride Mr. Freeze Reverse Blast, and I'm thinking that looking down on the spike would have made this coaster better for me. But on this version, the spike, despite its looks, did very little for me. And I do enjoy the first half of this ride in the front row, as you get an absolutely incredible sense of speed going through the various elements. However, the backwards portion is just incredibly intense and painful for me, which had it fall down my overall rankings. Though dated, the queue line theming is a really nice touch though. Number 10, I mean 6, New Texas Giant. This coaster confuses me as it rides in ways that really mess with me and make me sick. After my first ride in the back row, I came off about as sick feeling as I ever had from just one lap on a coaster. On my more recent rides, I've been able to help brace myself to make my rides more enjoyable. From avoiding a wheel seat, or particularly the slightly elevated second row of a car, to leaning indifferently to the various overbanks, as these in particular cause me to feel nauseous, as I'm expecting nice RMC airtime and instead I'm getting something very different and not enjoyable. On my most recent rides, I also was able to get some airtime on most of the bunny hills, except on the brakes in that final tunnel, which helped to elevate this coaster from the bottom of my coaster rankings. But I really want to love this coaster. Looking at its layout, it is one of the most beautiful RMC layouts of any RMC that I've seen. Easily, if all the elements hit correctly, this could be my favorite RMC. Especially since it has my favorite first drop on any coaster that I've experienced. This drop gets me every single time, and really carries it in my rankings. The front row also made this coaster more enjoyable, as it allowed for a less nauseous experience and gave a bit more floater airtime throughout the course. Plus, the wind and views of riding in the front car. Number 5, Runaway Mountain. This ranks highly because my first ride on this coaster in 50-degree weather was absolutely magical, with nice shaking and rattles throughout the first helix and first section, along with a nice theming and small airtime pops on the final drop. All this combined with a relatively loose restraint made this easily one of the best mine train coasters that I've been on, and one of the better coasters that I've been on, period, despite its age and relatively small size. Number 4, Judge Roy Scream. This classic wooden coaster was a pure treat, as almost all of its 8 hills seem to deliver enjoyable airtime. It's not wild or crazy, but does so much well for a classic wooden family coaster. My largest complaint is with the restraint. While still leaving me plenty of room to experience airtime, the lap bar is really tight and did pin my chest into the car in a way that kind of hurt a little bit. But the ride experience was about as enjoyable as I could hope for given the nature of this coaster. Number 3, Shockwave. This is a true gem of a classic roller coaster. Its first drop beckons to those scared to ride that this is a safe and inviting coaster, despite it being the tallest drop on a full circuit coaster when it was built. The 2 vertical loops are super intense, but enjoyable as they aren't the whippy type of intensity. Then you enter the magical part of Shockwave, entering and exiting its 2 main turnarounds. On the best rides, you will get good floater airtime in the front and good ejector airtime in the back of the train on these various elements. With a quick turn into the banking of the second of these turnarounds being my favorite part of the ride. However, as coaster enthusiasts can really experience with Riddler's Mindbender at Six Flags Over Georgia, there is a trim break entering the first turnaround. On my most recent visit with full trains, this killed any airtime entering this element and made the airtime on the rest of the track hit or miss, with little chance you'd get good airtime entering that second turnaround. Even with this trim, this coaster is still enjoyable, and with the full train, I did actually even get airtime on the initial drop for the first time. But it doesn't shine as brightly as it can when its elements are hitting like true magic. The secret seems to be riding this coaster with barely any people on it. So, if you're at Six Flags Over Texas on a quieter day, make riding this coaster many times a priority. Number 2, Aquaman Powerwave. As this coaster took forever to actually open, I'd seen enough of it to get a general idea of what I thought I'd think about it. And I wasn't too impressed, especially for a park that really needs a modern thrill coaster. But Aquaman absolutely blew me away with its spikes. I came off Mr. Freeze unimpressed with the spike. I came off Aquaman blown away with the mix of airtime and weightlessness that the various spikes offered. Even though it was colder and I was worried about getting wet, I couldn't take my mind off being slightly afraid of these various spikes while riding it. I never thought it would deliver as a coaster, but Aquaman truly did for me. Number 1, Titan. Sadly, there's no clear number 1 at this park, as I could easily see New Texas Giant or Mr. Freeze, or if you rode it on a good day, Shockwave, taking this spot. Over Texas has a solid mix of coasters, but not a true standout in my opinion. But Titan does a lot of things well. Sure, it's not exactly what I want in a coaster, and there are various changes that could help improve this coaster, but it is an enjoyable ride for what it is. From a 250-foot drop that just feels like you're falling forever, to a turnaround that offers a solid experience, to a nice airtime hill, to 2 strong and intense helixes, to a brake run that offers an enjoyable stall for the front row, Titan has a nice mix of elements to keep things simple while also keeping you entertained throughout its course that makes it a truly enjoyable coaster for me. Which roller coaster at Six Flags Over Texas are your favorite? Do you enjoy the low height requirements for many of these coasters? Let me know, and as always, Capcom Crap.